Good day and welcome, students. And now we are going to tackle English policy in China.
Good day everyone. So for today's video is we are going to discuss about English policy in China. So today English had become the most important foreign language since 1978, and it was according to Chain 2011. So when we talk about foreign language in China, it usually refers to English language. Thus here, we mainly introduce the English language education policy of China and discuss relevant issues. So here's the basic English language policy or English education policies in China. So since 1978, English is gradually became dominant foreign language in China, and which accompanied with the implementation of the state policy of opening to the outside and the reform. So most Chinese scholars believe that it was at least 30 years that English had been recommended as a dominant second language in China, and it was also according to Chain 2011 and Blue 2004 and Yuan 2006. So, based on the previous document and practices, and also in order to catch up with the new step of curriculum reform of the world, in 2001, the Ministry of Education of China published the National English Language Teaching Guidance for guiding the English language teaching and learning on the all levels of schools in the nation, and which also covered the both macro and micro sides of English language education. Up to now, this guidance is regarded as a milestone about English language education in China. So the following is the brief translation about guidance based of a Chinese version. So the first part of the document emphasized that foreign language is the important tool for getting the informations of science and culture from the world. And also the important one is for improving the nation's qualities in science and culture, and also for strengthening the international communication and cooperation. Importantly, the document points out that it is the state policy of reform and opening to the outside makes the foreign language become an integrated part of all schooling education in the country. So this document clearly requires that English language course should be established in the first year in primary schools and covering the duration of 6 years in the period of primary schools. In this document, according to Ministry of Education in China 2001, it also proposed a clear requirement on teaching content. So in the first stage, first and second academic year, the primary schools, the teaching content should focus on English listening and English speaking. And in the second stage also, it should begin to learn not only English listening and speaking, but also English and English writing. So the third one is fifth and sixth academic year. The content should focus on English listening, speaking, reading, and writing all around. Further, the document proposed the minimum level that should reach in 3 respective stages. So in the first stage, the year 1 and the year 2, under the support of the visual aids, picture, and teacher's action, students can make a proper response to the teacher's English demands. So under the support of visual aids, picture, and teacher's action, students not only understand of about 400 English words, but also need to speak them in a correct pronunciation. And another thing, students should not only recite the English song but also need to sing them. And last is that students can master the primary English words in a usual life, can make simple dialogue in English. So the second stage is the year 3 and the year 4. So in this stage, the students primarily can understand the English words in the class. So students can recite the English alphabet orderly and can distinguish the spelling of the letters, capital and normal formats. And also need to distinguish the block and the handwriting English words. And another thing, students can read the English words, sentences, and the text in a correct pronunciation and tone. So another thing also, according to the context, student can make sample conversation in correct pronunciation and tone. And students should not only understand and speak about 400 English words in a correct pronunciation and tone, but also need to spell about 200 English words correctly. So another, last but not the least, is that students can correctly write English letters, words, sentences, in both capital and in normal formats. So in the third stage, the year 5 and the year 6, so students can understand the English words in class and can primarily understand the familiar listening and materials which speed at 80 words per minute. Another thing is that students basic of reading English words, sentence and text is in the correct pronunciation and tone. And students should master the keywords, basic usage of basic expression, and also need to speak about 400 words in correct pronunciation and correct tone, and can spell usual English words about 250. So another thing also, students can be able to make a daily conversation in English not under the scope of their knowledge. And students can read and understand simple picture illustrated in English stories. Students can answer relevant questions related to textbook that they have learned in a paper-based way, and should be able to recite simple messages in English for communicating others. Since already became the main foreign language in the Chinese school, from primary schools to universities, how it was being taught naturally, because how it was taught being naturally and became a key concern. So according to some relevant research, Chen Wu 2010, Dong and Wang 2002, Zhang Li 2010, and the other observations, at about 80% of the Chinese school, from primary schools to high school, English was only taught in a foreign language class, and even in such classes, as lack of qualified English language teacher and necessary equipment. So English was not the sole language instruction. English teacher had to translate English to Chinese for the students' better understanding. So upwardly, as a test-oriented educational system, in most Chinese schools, the goal of English teaching was not for improving students' English language proficiency, but mainly for helping the students passing various English examinations. It was according to Chen 2010, Liu 2004, Dong and Gay 2002, Zhang and Li 2010. So we can say that a number of Chinese students, although they passed high school level English tests, their English language proficiency were totally or were really poorer. And it was according to Chain 2010, Lu 2004, Dang and Wang 2005. As in such circumstances, what English a teacher can take in the class is cramming. Let students do more mimic testing paper for passing or, or passing uh, various English examination. For example, in China, we can say that a large number of students who pass the high school level English test, but they could not communicate with English native speaker in English smoothly and fluently.
Here we can make a brief review of foreign language education policy in China over the past 60 years. So first, before 1978, 1949 to 1978, it can be divided into two stages. From 1949 to 1964, Russian is almost the odd foreign language in China, and which should be taught in all schools from 1964 to 1978. With the worst relation between China and Russia, and also accompanied with the defrozen relations between China and the USA, English began to become the main foreign language in China. For meeting the demand of communicating with Western countries, China's government began to allow and even encourage common people begin to learn English in this period of time. Second, from 1978 to 2001, with closer relations between China and Western countries, English gradually became the dominant foreign language in China, and China's central government took more policies or measures in encouraging common people to learn English, which including require all public schools should set up English course for all students. And English is treated as one of required three courses. The other two courses are Chinese literature and mathematics for all secondary and high school students. Third is from 2001, the present, in order to catch up with the step of curriculum reform around the world. China government began to launch a series of documents in curriculum reform which also including new national English teaching guidance, new national English curriculum standard, and new English language textbooks, and some of new concepts in English teaching and learning from Western countries were introduced and adopted. Fourth is implementation of foreign language education policy is quite different in different regions of China. From 2001, China's government began to launch a massive English teachers training program across the country. As lack of qualified English teachers or trainers and participants also lack of basic knowledge and skills, and also because of the colossal investment. It is also needs the investment from local government. The program did not reach the expected goals. Fifth, although the central government emphasizes that local government should be unreserved in the implementation of the national foreign language education policy, as different economic conditions, different culture, and different history, the implementation shows quite different, even contradictory in different regions in China. And the number 6, under the encouragement of government, more and more common Chinese people began to accept English as their main foreign language, and more young Chinese people began to learn English as well. By this way, common Chinese people get to know real Western countries. So, in conclusion, English has been treated as most important foreign language in China, and the central government of China launched a series of documents and programs, which include National English Language Teaching Guidance, national English language textbooks, national English language curriculum standard, and the massive English language teachers training program, and etc. In order to improve English language proficiencies of Chinese students in all schools across the country. Under the encouragement of government, more and more common Chinese people began to accept English as their main foreign language, and more young Chinese people began to learn English as well. By this way, common Chinese people get to know real Western countries, but as lack of qualified English teachers and task-oriented educational system. There is a long way to go for English language education in China. For our third conclusion, at the same time, the Chinese Han language, or Putonghua, has being popularized in all schools, which covered from primary schools to universities across the nation. Fourth, unifying the language across the whole country is the final goal of the central government of China. Fifth, both foreign languages education policy and minorities language education policy is deeply determined by the political needs of ruling groups in China, which show different characteristics in different stages in the past 60 years. And lastly, number 6, accompanied with popularizing Chinese Han language and English language across the country. Some minorities language is being disappeared in China. So this is the reference of our report or the sources of our information. And thank you for listening. God bless.